I'm Captain Dan Cohen with Williamson County EMS, and we are here with Dr. Tanya Glenn for another episode of Rescue You.
Hello, everyone.
So, Dr. Tanya Glenn, we're here to talk about relationships today. What is the best way to talk to a work partner if we start noticing that they are withdrawing at work or noticing behavior that would be considered abnormal for them? At what point should we really start to be concerned?
I think that, and the beauty of having a partner that you know so well is that you know each other, you know your nuances, you know your sense of humor, you know your coping, you know kind of how someone is, and you can sense when something is changing. And one shift being a little bit off is one thing, but if you're a few weeks into it and your partner's different, their sense of humor is different, they seem burned out, they're pissed at the public all the time, they're treating their patients differently, I think that now, especially now more than ever, it is time to really start to say, hey, you know what, I've noticed that you're different, and I've noticed that your sense of humor is different, I'm just worried about you. And to say, well, is anything going on? Is there anything you want to talk to me about? Maybe I can help you, but maybe I can find some resources that can help you. The biggest thing that we don't want first responders to do is just kind of do the whole, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do about this, so I'm going to look the other way. Because we hear all the time when people have ended up really, obviously in a dangerous situation or hospitalized or, those types of situations. So many people talk about all the signs that they saw that they never said anything. And so I want you guys to understand that it's okay to ask your partner, hey, it seems different. And I've been through phases where I've just, I've had a complete crap show going on in my life, and I know I've been different, and I would be remiss not to say something.
How does peer support fit in all that? Because where I work, we developed our peer support team based on the fact that some of us had known people and had experiences with partners or friends in the department that did not exactly leave the job at a time of their choosing, to put it very lightly. And we may have seen some of those signs, but we really didn't have the tools to help them. And it was pretty shattering when you think about all the people that you go out and you help during a 24-hour shift, but you really couldn't help out some of the folks in your family that you work with.
Right. So peer support, I absolutely love peer support teams. These programs save lives every day. And so peer support is another tool you have in your toolbox. If you're worried about your partner, you can encourage them to talk to peer support. You can ask peer support to check on your partner. Given that it's confidential and these folks are basically operating under the health and safety code, which allows for confidentiality, the whole point is just to get people stabilized, to make sure they're okay, and to get them help if they need it. There's no harm, no foul in any of this. I remember when I was working at Breckenridge Hospital, there was a police officer who committed suicide. And his entire shift came in, and they were like, Tanya, he was doing these things, and none of us said anything. And they were crushed. They were devastated. And I truly believe that given a second chance, they would have said something like, you know what, that's not an okay behavior. That is not okay to do. And what is going on with you? And we don't want it to get to that point. So let's have those conversations. Let's pull in peer support. You've got valuable assets all around you. Just bring them in.
So let's apply the same level of care and due diligence that we would, at least in EMS, provide for our patients.
Absolutely.
Let's look after each other.
Absolutely.
Okay. Fantastic. Another question about relationships. Why do people stay in relationships that are emotionally draining and never find the courage to leave? Now that could apply to a marriage. It could apply to your long-term partnership with someone that you work with that you just can't quite tell, I can't work with you anymore. So I know that's a fairly general question, but how do you think that might relate to people who work in our area?
So first responders love emotionally draining relationships.
Why is that?
I think that the biggest reason is, so there's two things. Number one is you guys, you're the rescuers, right? So you tend to attract, and you're attracted to maybe people who need to be rescued. And over time, what happens is everyone figures out the hard way that that person needs to rescue themselves, that they have to do the work, that you guys can't do the work for them. And so as you get into these things, over time, most people, especially when they come in for therapy, they learn, they figure it out. They're like, why am I in this pattern? And they start to figure out that they're pulling people in that maybe need help or need to be rescued, and and then they realize that they can't. The other thing is that in a relationship, especially like in a long-term relationship, and this is normal. You're in it. Maybe you have kids, you've got a mortgage, you've got debt, whatever it is. And a lot of people, they're in a relationship to be in that relationship. And so it is over time, it's hard to see that maybe this may be a failed relationship, that this may be the end. And it's really hard to accept that somehow this didn't work out despite all of our hard efforts, right? So what we teach people is that it is not a failure, right? It takes two to tango. You've got to have, in a healthy relationship, you've got to have two partners standing up and supporting and backing each other and engaging in proactive and productive behaviors that are going to be good and that are going to foster harmony in the relationship. And when you don't have that, sometimes it's hard to see that big picture.
I had this image of a fire crew going to a call with the stereotypical cat in a tree, and I thought of them driving up, looking at it, and going, "You can't save everyone," and then going to get breakfast tacos. So maybe that's kind of what it's about. You got to know what when to cut your losses, I guess.
Absolutely.
And I guess if you learn from it, then you've had some level of success.
Definitely.
Yeah. Dr. Glenn, thank you for talking with us today on Rescue You about relationships.
If you have any questions you want to ask us on Rescue You, go ahead and scan this QR code and send them to us. Please understand, in no way is this a counseling session or any sort of clinical advice. If any of the content has triggered you, or if you feel like you need help immediately, please reach out to your local mental health professionals or to any peer support teams that you have in your area. If you're in a crisis, here are some national resources for you to contact immediately.